Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. It's a privilege to be here speaking to you. My name is Mike Erickson. I'm a Partnership Development Program Manager at Los Alamos National Laboratory, and I'm your host for this Department of Energy National Lab Discovery Series webinar. Today, we will be exploring IRODI, Intelligent, Rapid, and Optimized Dimensional Inspection, which has been developed here at Los Alamos National Laboratory. In addition to hosting, we'll also share insights into partnership opportunities at LANL. We are privileged to have Dr. John Bernardin and Dr. Sarah Brown with us, who will share their expert perspectives on this technology. Dr. John Bernardin is a senior research and design engineer at Los Alamos National Laboratory. He leads a 40-person team focused on advanced manufacturing and design technologies, including the development of the IRODI system. A fellow of the American Society of Mechanical Engineers and recipient of an R&D 100 award, Dr. Bernardin brings decades of experience in more than 200 technical publications to his work in precision manufacturing. Dr. Sarah Brown is an R&D engineer at Los Alamos National Laboratory and the lead developer of Maestro, the software behind IRODI's intelligent inspection system. Her work has earned multiple honors, including a 2024 R&D 100 award. She specializes in simulation and software tools that connect manufacturing processes with performance, helping to transform how dimensional inspections are done. Before we proceed, I'd like to remind you that your microphones will be muted throughout this presentation. If you have any questions, please type them into the Q&A tool. It's either on the top or bottom of your screen, depending on your system. We will address your questions during the Q&A session at the end of the webinar. Now, let's dive into IRODI.
Well, good day, everyone. This is Dr. John Bernardin, and I'd like to give credit to the research team that developed this technology. Sarah Brown, you'll hear from her today. Andre Bose, Nathaniel Morgan, and John Vigil are all technical subject matter experts in various forms of mechanical engineering research and code development. And so what you're going to hear about today is an exciting new technology we call Intelligent, Rapid, Optimized Dimensional Inspection, and the acronym for that is IRODI. We are, all five of us are within a group at Los Alamos National Lab called Modern Manufacturing Technologies. And so without further ado, let's jump into the presentation. So the outline here, give a brief background for the need for dimensional inspection. This is probably commonplace for many of you on the call, but we've got a wide audience, so try to cast the net kind of wide so everybody can appreciate this technology. We'll talk about a little bit on traditional geometrical dimensional inspection and what we refer to as the speed problem and how we're overcoming that. And then we'll jump in and present IRODI and how does it work. And we'll show a few applications of IRODI, both on-machine inspection and post-fabrication inspection. And then a little bit of where do we go from here. And we've got a little video to show off the technology at the end of this. So, as many of you are aware, manufacturing touches every aspect of our lives. This can be from agriculture to shipping and transportation, whether it's aircraft, automobiles, trains. All of these require mechanical systems, electromechanical, and so all of those things need to be manufactured and inspected. There are electronics from your cell phones to the computers that you're using today to watch this webinar, as well as medical devices. And these are just a few of the things. But failing to perform dimensional inspection, it can lead to some serious problems. And we just give one example here of showing an aircraft incident, and there's a link to that incident. It was traced back to a manufacturing flaw and something that was out of tolerance. And it's just an example. There are many other applications where dimensional inspection has not been performed, parts don't fit together, or they lead to premature wear and tear on the parts. And this can lead to poor performance of the components, and in the rare cases, potential loss of life, as shown in this Beechcraft A336 airplane incident of 2015. So traditionally, what do we use to inspect hardware that we're manufacturing? In the most simplistic case, in figure A there in the center of your screen, using hand calipers, whether they be digital or analog. I spent 10 years doing machining, and as I was making things, I was always checking it on the mill or the lathe to make sure I was had knowledge of the dimensions and the geometry of the structure I was trying to create. It's not a very accurate means, but it's a quick and dirty approach to taking a look at something during its fabrication or prior to assembly. And then we have on-machine inspection, that's in figure B. And what's shown there, we'll talk a little bit more about this. This is an on-machine optical inspection system, and that we've put together at Los Alamos National Lab. There's a lathe there that the door is open, and the machining has been paused, and there's a robot holding an optical scanner to go in there and take a look at the part that's being manufactured. And then we have what are referred to, it's referred to as a coordinate measuring machine. This is used to do detailed inspection of a component after it's been fabricated, or maybe during a stage of its fabrication it's pulled off the machine. And what you see in item C there is a touch probe, high precision device that's going in to basically touch the surface and record a single point on that surface with a high precision, high accuracy. And then in figure D, we have an optical scanner, and it's using a optical means to inspect a part. This is a very rapid process. It's using light, it's scanning. It can either be a white light scanner, which is projecting a white light. In this case, it's a laser beam that's rastering, but it's very fast and has its benefits in speed versus the touch probe in item C, which is a little bit slower. Okay. Now, what we've got shown on this next slide is on your left you have a coordinate measuring machine and a touch probe measuring the geometry of a spherical object. Coordinate measuring machine is a high precision tool. It's used in every aspect of industry when high precision, high accuracy is required. These machines are extremely accurate, but they're slow. We're talking about maybe making tens of measurements, point measurements within a minute, versus an optical scanner, the laser scanner, and you saw that those videos running. The laser scanner is taking hundreds of thousands of points in the same amount of time. The problem generally with the optical scanners is they're just not as accurate as the coordinate measuring machine. So here we have two different technologies. We've got a slow and highly accurate touch probe technique, and we have a fast, but let's call it noisy optical inspection technique. And the question we pose to ourselves is, can we merge those two, that we can take advantage of the accuracy of the touch probe and the speed of the optical scanner and bring them together to rapidly inspect a part but still maintain the accuracy that we require. And the picture on your right side there is kind of an artist's rendition of an inspection of a flat plate. The red points are from a touch probe that's going across the surface, and as you would expect, those points are almost along a straight line. There's some deviation there from imperfections. And then likewise, the blue points, you're looking at height on the y-axis versus distance of measurement on the x-axis. And the blue points are from an optical laser scanner that's scanning that same surface. And you can see there's a lot more variability that's due to reflections and the limited accuracy of the optical scanner. But you can see that there's points above and below the profile that the CMM acquired. So we're going to try to merge those two and see if we can make those two technologies work together. And that is what is IRODI. It's both a product and a system or a process. And so shown in that image there on your right side of the slide is a computer screen snapshot of this code we call Maestro. And Maestro is the intelligent statistical inspection optimization software that we developed. It's the brains behind all of this. That software runs on a PC and it integrates with your commercial inspection software. So it doesn't require anything more than what you might already have in your metrology lab. We're simply tying in these brains into that existing computer inspection system and providing it some artificial intelligence to provide a better means of performing the inspection with the hardware than a human could do. Now, what's also shown on the screen is a commercial coordinate measuring machine with a touch probe and a laser scanner. This could be almost any type of inspection hardware that's commercially available. So IRODI, again, it's the integration of existing commercial inspection hardware and existing commercial software to run those machines, but integrating and bringing in Maestro to perform that intelligent inspection. Okay, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Sarah, and over the next few slides, she's going to try to convey how Maestro functions to perform what I just described. Take it away, Sarah.
Perfect, thank you. So again, like John said, Maestro is our patent-pending autonomous dimensional inspection software. So it's fully autonomous. It completely runs the inspection for you by integrating with your commercial metrology software. And then basically what it's doing is it's controlling your CMM in the background through that software. So how does Maestro work? How are we exploiting that noisy laser scan data in order to get the accuracy that's required when we inspect with a CMM? So this is a simple example that kind of illustrates how Maestro works and how the intelligence is brought into the inspection process. So if I put a black box in front of you and I asked you to figure out as quickly as possible what's inside that black box, instinctually as humans, right, we would just want to put our hands inside the box, we could quickly feel around, and we could get a pretty quick idea of what is inside that box. However, that would represent a really accurate laser, and with today's technology, you just don't see that type of accuracy. So that would be equivalent to us putting some winter gloves on your hands and then telling you to feel what's inside that box. So with those winter gloves on, right, you can still get a really quick idea of what is inside there, but you're limited on the types of details you can pick up. So there's some uncertainty. So if you were to feel around in the box, in our specific example, we would say, oh, you determined that there must be a woolly mammoth inside of this box. You're a little bit uncertain, right, about the size of the tusks or maybe the trunk, but you get a really quick idea of what is inside that box. So that's an example of how your laser scan inspection data works. And the red boxes below that, this is where Maestro would come in. So once we know what is inside the box, we want to ask, where should I touch off with a CMM intelligently, so that way I can really figure out, what's happening inside that box as quickly as possible. So as a human, that would be equivalent to saying, all right, you think there's a woolly mammoth inside the box. Now you can take the gloves off, but you can only take a single finger, and I want you to touch off on that object inside the box to determine what's in there as quickly as possible. So again, as humans, right, we're naturally going to go and we're going to touch off on points like the tusk, or we're going to touch off on the trunk. We're going to go to areas where we're pretty uncertain. That's how we're doing that intelligently. So what we are doing with Maestro is we're bringing that same intelligence to the inspection process. So we're asking what's inside the box, and then where should I go to quickly identify what that object really is. So within a few number of points, we quickly realize, oh, it's really an elephant that is inside that box, not a woolly mammoth. So this would be an example of how the Maestro inspection process works. So there are sort of two different workflows that you can take with Maestro. So again, the biggest one I want to convey is that this is a fully autonomous dimensional inspection software. So what you would do is you would fixture your part on your CMM. You would pull up your already existing commercial inspection software that you use. Currently, we're interfacing with Polyworks, but we do have plans to interface with Windows or PCDMIS in the future. So once you've fixtured your part and you've aligned it with your commercial software, you would then integrate it with Maestro. You would pull Maestro up and Maestro would go ahead and it would begin coordinating that inspection process for you. So there's no path planning, no programming, no debugging required. So there's sort of two different workflows you can take here. The second workflow is the one that we just discussed on the previous slide, where you would have both CMM and laser scan data. So after fixturing and aligning your part, you can bring in some laser scan data that you performed on that particular part. And basically what that's going to do is that's going to tell Maestro, it's going to give it a rough idea of what that surface looks like. So rather than going in completely blind, as you can see on that flow chart on the right, it kind of has an idea of what that surface initially looks like. So from there, it can quickly go and inspect points that it thinks are likely to be out of tolerance. And you can see pretty quickly, we can converge on the actual shape of that surface in a reasonably few number of points. Now, you don't have to do that type of workflow. If you'd rather, you can simply fixture your part, align it, and then you can tell Maestro to go in blind. So if you do this, Maestro has no idea of what that surface initially looks like. So it's going to go in and it's going to do a quick general inspection to get an idea of what that full surface looks like. Once it has an idea there, then it can start going in and honing in on those points that it thinks could be out of tolerance in order to give you that final predicted surface as well. So Maestro really only requires a CMM, but having that additional laser scan data does allow you to find those out of tolerance points much quicker. So this is an example of where we applied Maestro. This is a 3D printed topology optimized bunny. So right off the bat, you can see this is a very complex shape, and creating a traditional inspection plan for this would already be really, really difficult. But let's assume that you could go and you can create that traditional inspection plan, which is what you're seeing in the upper right-hand figure. There's still a good chance, especially given the complexity of this surface, that you miss something important. So for example, this bunny had part of its ear that got chopped off, and a traditional inspection could miss that. So you can see we have those grid squares there. There's a chance that you have stuff that falls outside of that systematic grid and you just miss it. So with Maestro, what Maestro does is it comes in, especially if you have that laser scan data to begin with, and it says there's something weird happening up here at the ear. It's going to go up there to that ear and it's going to thoroughly inspect what is happening in that region to determine, is this a feature I should be concerned about, or should I continue looking at the rest of the surface? So we have found that Maestro, because of the way it's doing this dynamic inspection and it's continually updating its prediction of that surface, we're able to find deviations, locate areas that are out of tolerance that your systematic inspection could potentially miss.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. So we talked a lot about the post-manufacturing inspection with a CMM. This process can also, this technique can also work for in-process inspection on the machine as you're making parts. We can, again, bring a robotic system in to bring an optical scanner in, inspect the part. This can be used on subtractive manufacturing, so we're showing a lathe in the upper right, and the optical scanner there is, we've got a projected light shown in purple there, aiming towards the part, a spherical structure that's located there, and you see the point cloud, the optical inspection data that's shown on the right of that image. So this can be incorporated on traditional manufacturing, but it can also be used on additive manufacturing. As we're building up a part, we can also inspect it and gather that data and make intelligent decisions on, is the part being fabricated correctly? Or do we have errors that are being introduced? For the machinists out there and the fabricators, you know, tool wear is a big deal, and oftentimes if it's not checked, it'll lead to machining errors. You can have imperfections caused by aggressive tool cutting. You can also have bearing chatter from an old machine. A whole number of ways that you could have errors introduced. In additive manufacturing, you could be depositing too much material, or you could have warping caused by residual stresses. And this technique will help you check that manufacturing process periodically and find out, are there flaws being introduced, and can I make corrections on the fly? Can I make inferences on what actions I needed to take, rather than finishing up the machining and finding out I have a flawed part. So currently in development on this process, what we need to do, we're working on, is creating a real-time CAD model from the G-code data. So as you build up the part and you're inspecting it, you have to compare it back to something. And that something is a real-time evolving G-code generated CAD model that is used in that comparison process. So that is one of the unique technologies that we're bringing to bear for the in-process inspection. This shows our lab setup in a little more detail. In the center picture there, you see the lathe with its door open. There's an inspected part that an arrow is pointing to. And then there's a white multi-axis robot there with a micro epsilon optical scanner on its end effector. And then there's a control system that's mounted next to there. And shown in the picture on the far left, that's Andre, one of our collaborators, and he is using the interface screen on that control system to look at the point cloud data that has been collected from an object. And that point cloud gathering is shown over on the far right of the image. If you look in the upper right, you see that blue light projected onto that onto the spherical object, and there's a fixture plate in the background with a bunch of fiducials in that, and we'll describe that in a second. But he's gathering up the point cloud data and then superimposing that on the CAD model and doing a real-time comparison of the manufacturing process. This shows a little bit more detail there in the in-process dimensional inspection, just an example of the spherical object. The point cloud you can see up above. This type of inspection requires a fiducial plate because you're trying to capture the full geometry of whatever it is you're machining. An optical inspection tool might not be able to collect that whole geometry in one snapshot. So it actually, in this case, we've put fiducials on this plate. They're these little rounded nubs, and they're shown in the scan data in picture C there on the top. And what it does is it uses those fiducials as kind of reference points where it can take individual scans and begin to stitch them together to give you the complete geometry. We've already shown you an example then of post-process inspection. And so I don't think I have to go into much detail here, but this is showing Sarah and Andre a rounded coordinate measuring machine. They're using touch probe and optical scanning together, and that's a NIST traceable inspection calibration part that they were using to develop the software and to correctly infer how well the inspection techniques with the software were working. The output from that exercise that they went through is captured in this image here, and there's a lot of valuable takeaways from this. First off, you have a systematic inspection shown on the right side. That's a very discrete set of points that have been taken. It's been programmed in the CMM. It's gone off and touched that surface in a number of regular points, and it's done a very good job of capturing the geometry of that complex contour of that NIST part. The inspection time took 13.8 hours. It collected roughly 4,400 individual points, and this was to achieve a confidence interval of 50 micron tolerance within the profile of the CAD model. Now, bring in Maestro and using the same exact inspection hardware, the optical scanner and the touch probe, we were able to inspect that part to the same confidence interval, to say that we understand the shape of that part within a 50 micron tolerance. We were able to achieve that in just 1.5 hours and take less than 400 points. So we've cut the inspection time down almost an order of magnitude, and a lot of that's attributed to using that optical scan data and the IRODI intelligence that's captured in Maestro to basically figure out what points on the surface the CMM should be interrogating. So advantages that IRODI brings: the technology. It's a patent-pending autonomous dimensional inspection program. This is going to cut down on your workforce demands in the metrology lab, for example. And those of you that are heavily involved in machining and manufacturing like I have, you know metrology labs are heavily tasked. Sometimes they can be a choke point for process throughput. And so we're looking at opening the floodgates there in the metrology labs by using this autonomous software and inspection tools. There's no path planning, programming, or debugging. This will all be taken on by Maestro. Rapid identification of potential disqualifying defects. So the fact that you're using optical scanning, you're now looking at the entire surface, and that increases your confidence that you're really looking at the entire surface of the part and not missing something that a CMM might skip over. We've shown right now that we've reduced the inspection time almost an order of magnitude. I know we can do better than this. Technology is still under development, and with better computer resources and further programming, we can cut that time even faster. It'll get even faster than that once you develop a product line and you know how you're inspecting these parts. This could be speeded up even faster. It's statistically grounded in confidence levels with some intelligence statistics, and it removes the judgment call oftentimes that we have to make with our subject matter experts. And furthermore, this can be done on machine and lead to fixes, possibly feedback control. But think of all the times you've manufactured something only to find you've had a flaw or a incorrect CNC programming operation or tool wear, and now you've had to scrap one or more parts because you didn't find out till the parts were done and you couldn't go back and correct it. We're going to help you with the software to achieve that. The value proposition, so it's increased efficiency and reduced cost by catching defects early and reducing inspection times. Seamless integration. We're not looking to replace the commercial inspection hardware or software that's out there, so there's no costly hardware upgrades. And then finally, we pair with commercial inspection software. So that way you've got your familiar and trusted interface in your tools. We're just helping add some intelligent brains to your workforce. Not saying that your workforce isn't intelligent, but we're going to put them on steroids with the thought process here and making intelligent decisions. This is going to do that artificial intelligence that we as humans can't move at that kind of speed. So just in summary, the current capabilities: post-process inspection. We want to improve the surface inspection coverage by merging that optical scanning that a lot of people are not necessarily wanting to use because of its low accuracy. We want to merge that with the CMM and capture the things that the CMM might miss. We want to reduce inspection times. We've shown how we can do that. We've improved the dimensional inspection accuracy over purely optical methods. So if you're just doing optical inspection, you miss out on the benefits of the CMM. And then we're providing that statistically meaningful quantification of the inspected geometry versus your intended mechanical design. And then on the in process, we built the robotic optical inspection, integrated it with the CNC lathe, and we're doing early component defect detection and correction during manufacturing, which has the benefit and the future of improving production yield and reducing scrap. So this technology, it's still under development. You saw some of the accomplishments of it so far. It is continuing to move ahead. There are a lot of ways to collaborate on this. There's process and software development, and we've listed a few here. There's metrology assessments. Really, what kind of functions do we need to put into Maestro, depending on your manufacturing or your inspection needs? That can be tailored. It's fairly easy to do in our software. And then this needs to be QA vetted heavily, and to debug the early software development, find places where the algorithms can be improved, both to boost the speed, but also the reproducibility and the assurance that the system is working correctly. And then finally, we have a video. It's a 4-minute video that advertises this technology, and I'm going to ask Sean to cue that up.
Manufacturing impacts every aspect of our lives, including transportation, food production, communication, energy, entertainment, and medical devices. Its success depends on producing components that are effective, reliable, economical, free of defects, and fit together.
Precision is paramount. Slight deviations can have significant consequences for safety, functionality, and cost. Geometric dimensional inspection, also called metrology, uses precision instrumentation and software to measure the size, shape, and alignment of components.
The process ensures that the parts are manufactured accurately, assembled correctly, and will function as intended for their application. However, this critical component of quality control increases the cost and production time of manufacturing processes, and improper inspection can have dire consequences.
Traditional inspection methods have limitations that create manufacturing bottlenecks. Coordinate measuring machines, called CMMs, use high-precision touch probes for excellent accuracy. However, certain shapes of parts may not be accessible for touch probe measurements. CMMs are slow because they make just tens of measurements per minute for items requiring tens of thousands of measurements. Optical scanners provide faster measurement alternatives and can inspect large areas. However, they lack the necessary measurement precision.
These commercial methods lack a robust semi-autonomous inspection algorithm. They cannot perform on-machine inspection to provide real-time feedback control to fix machining errors. To bridge the gap between speed and accuracy, at Los Alamos National Laboratory, we developed intelligent, rapid, and optimized dimensional inspection called IRODI.
This patent-pending solution merges existing dimensional inspection hardware such as CMMs and optical scanners with Maestro, an innovative statistical inspection optimization software. A variety of part geometries and contours can be measured. Maestro compares initial inspection data against the original computer-aided design specifications.
Instead of uniformly scanning the entire part, it focuses on high-risk areas using artificial intelligence. Maestro autonomously refines measurements until the desired confidence level is achieved. This smart targeting approach intelligently inspects points, reduces the number of unnecessary measurements, and predicts the actual surface contour with a high level of confidence and accuracy.
IRODI offers faster inspections. What once took 10 hours now just takes 1. The higher precision detects small defects that traditional CMMs might miss. IRODI isn't just for finished products. It can also be used during the manufacturing process by inspecting parts in process. Manufacturers can detect and fix defects in real time to reduce waste, cut costs, and improve efficiency.
IRODI integrates seamlessly with existing inspection tools, eliminating the need for costly hardware upgrades. This revolutionary process is scalable to support both small and large-scale manufacturing processes to deliver a competitive advantage in industries where precise inspections are critical, like the aerospace and automotive industries.
With unmatched speed, accuracy, and efficiency, IRODI is set to redefine how components are inspected, ensuring safer, stronger, and more reliable manufacturing for the future.
Okay, thanks, John and Sarah. Much appreciated for that excellent presentation. I wanted to spend a few moments of time to talk about how a company such as yours would partner with Los Alamos National Laboratory. There really are just three mechanisms that come to mind for this particular case, where we might be able to begin to develop that partnership. And I'll also address, I think, what I think is the opportunity around IRODI in this case. But I'll begin by talking about the SPP, CRADA, and license agreement very briefly, just to give you a little background on how we typically partner with companies. So an SPP is a strategic partnership project, which is a formal agreement that allows external organizations, such as private companies, universities, and the government agencies to pay Los Alamos National Laboratory to perform specific technical work that supports their mission or operational needs. At Los Alamos, SPPs are commonly used when a partner needs access to the lab's unique capabilities. Unlike joint research agreements, the SPP is a fee-for-service contract. That means the partner funds the work. LANL provides expertise, facilities, and personnel without co-developing or sharing intellectual property. In many cases, the partner retains rights to the results, including data. SPPs are especially valuable when a partner needs sophisticated and specialized facilities or equipment not available elsewhere, when the work supports national security, energy, or public health priorities, and when there's a need to prototype or test emerging technologies in a secure, mission-aligned environment. So in short, Los Alamos's SPP program gives external entities a secure, mission-driven way to access world-class science and technology expertise. So another agreement mechanism we rely on for connecting LANL technology and capability with industry is the Cooperative Research and Development Agreement, or CRADA. This is a mechanism that allows Los Alamos National Laboratory to partner with external organizations, again, such as private companies, universities, or non-federal entities, to collaboratively conduct research and development. CRADAs are ideal when both the lab and the partner contribute technical expertise, equipment, or personnel to pursue a shared R&D goal. These collaborations often focus on advancing cutting-edge technologies for development and deployment in the marketplace. Importantly, no federal funds are exchanged with the partner. Instead, both sides contribute to in-kind resources. The partner may also contribute funds to support the lab's portion of the work. One of the biggest benefits of a CRADA is intellectual property protection. The partner may retain commercial rights up to an exclusive license to commercialize any new inventions developed under this agreement, while the government retains a non-exclusive license for government use. This structure can provide a strong incentive for industry to innovate with Los Alamos, which we do often. So in short, CRADAs at LANL offer a strategic, innovation-friendly pathway for collaborative R&D, leveraging national lab capabilities to accelerate development of commercial products. And finally, licensing. The licensing program at Los Alamos National Laboratory enables external partners, such as startups and established companies, to access and commercialize innovations developed at Los Alamos. Managed by the Los Alamos Feynman Center for Innovation, the program bridges the gap between federally funded research and private sector application. Through its licensing program, LANL offers intellectual property, such as patents and software, to companies that can bring the technology to the market. So license types include exclusive or non-exclusive, with field of use provisions possible depending on the technology and licensing opportunity. So key benefits for licensing include access to potentially high-impact IP, technical collaboration with experts, acceleration of product development, and opportunity to de-risk innovation by leveraging federally funded research. LANL's licensing team works to structure agreements that are flexible, mission-aligned, and designed to ensure the commercial success of lab-developed technology. Now, how these agreements are deployed really depends on the partnership opportunity being developed. For IRODI, we anticipate both a license agreement and a follow-along trade agreement to continue collaboration on a commercializable platform. So with all that said about partnerships, we'll move right on to the Q&A. We've already reviewed some of this information, and we'll start addressing the questions shortly. Please continue to submit your queries as we proceed. We aim to cover as many as possible during our presentation today. Okay, the first question is, how do we get in contact with John and Sarah? The best way to do that is to get in contact with myself. I'll put my contact information in the chat, and that should make it easy for you guys to get a hold of me. We can have a brief conversation, and I can make those introductions occur after that exchange. Okay, we'll go on. So this is a question for the technical team. Does Maestro work better with some GD&T requirements more than others? For example, if I'm designing a new part with simple holes in it, would Maestro work better with a profile tolerance better than a position tolerance, or does it matter?
I'll take a first crack at that, and Sarah, if there's things you want to add. Right now, it really doesn't matter because, well, it depends on how you're inspecting it. If you're just using a touch probe or CMM, your feature recognition will probably be a little bit easier than the positional. But if you're merging the optical with the inspection probe or the CMM, Maestro really doesn't care, because what it's doing is it's inspecting and it's going off of the tolerances that are specified for that component. Now, I would say that's one area that's still under development, because I may have a component that has, a global accuracy on profile, but I may have some high precision features, both in the dimension and in their location or positioning. And we will have to allow Maestro to access that information, that GD&T information. What we're doing right now is we're just using CAD models and profiles. But once we interject that GD&T information into Maestro, it will know how the tolerancing or the GD&T is being reflected on that part. And so it can use, again, its intelligence to say, in these areas where things are loose, I'm going to let that go, and I'm going to focus on these high precision areas or these high tolerance areas. But it's going to do so almost seamlessly, because it will be able to have all of that information in hand as it generates its inspection data. Sarah, would you want to comment any further on that?
Nope, I think that hits it.
Yeah. So again, it's a work in progress, and we don't have performance data on it yet, but a very good and very relevant question, and we hope that that answered your question.
Okay, thanks, John. Thanks, Sarah. How does Maestro know what is a critical versus non-critical feature? For example, engraved text may appear to be a detailed feature, but not required for detailed inspection.
Yeah, this is a great question. So currently, you can select which surface features you would like to inspect. So if some engraved text is something that you don't really care about, you just wouldn't select to have that particular surface inspected. Anything else to add, John?
Only that kind of goes along with the last question, and that is we can have a varying set of inspection criteria for a part that comes from a GD&T drawing, and it's it's just simply communicating that information to Maestro, so Maestro will know each region or feature, how important or significant that is, and can adjust its confidence interval around those requirements being called by the GD&T. So great insight and great question, and hopefully we're going to be able to provide that service within the Maestro software.
Okay. Is this inspection process compatible with existing inspection standards? For example, ASME, ASNI, MIL, STD, etc. Is my customer going to accept results provided by IRODI?
I'll tackle that one as well. So this research team and the 5 names you saw up on there, all of us are mechanical engineers and researchers. None of us are expert metrologists, but we work with a fabrication shop that has qualified metrology labs and qualified personnel. They're being tasked or working alongside us to ensure that the inspection requirements and the and how the software is integrating GD&T, how it's meeting those standards that you just mentioned. All of that's being integrated into the software development, and then the plan is to vet this software against certain standards and certain calibration artifacts. So you're just a little bit further down the road than we are, but again, excellent question. We know we've got to meet that, and that's every intention of ours to get that incorporated into the software and vetted.
Thanks, John. Is IRODI only for surface features, or can Maestro software take 3D data measured with acoustics, for example?
Sarah, you want to tackle that one?
Yeah, I can take that one. So currently, Maestro takes in a CAD model and compares that. So today's version of Maestro, we are only using a CAD model to account for the surface features. But in the future, we do hope to, for example, if you want to reverse engineer a part, that you can go and you can laser scan that, and we can create some type of surface off of that and then perform an inspection without having to require a CAD model.
And I would add that this is very important. Having interior information on the part. In the past, typically CT scanning, acoustic scanning, imaging, looking inside components, it was never really tied to the metrology, the geometrical dimensional inspection, but that's changing. And it's changing because of the computing resources that we have nowadays, artificial intelligence, and frankly, there's going to be a need for it, and especially in the world of additive manufacturing. Additive manufacturing allows us to build extremely complex shapes and objects. Imagine producing an engine block that you can 3D print with internal cooling passages, for example, and you don't have to necessarily cast or machine these features in later. And oftentimes you'll create, in additive manufacturing, you'll create these parts that have really complex internal geometries, and you can't use dimensional inspection to see inside. You're going to have to use some other probing technique like acoustics, ultrasound, or CT. So our hope is that as IRODI advances, that those other inspection capabilities would merge into this, so that we can inspect not just the exterior, but the interior of the structures as well. So excellent question.
Okay, so you indicated that AI is a feature of Maestro. How do you go about training the AI? Is it trained per the different part geometries? If I am manufacturing a robot home cleaner, should I train the Maestro AI for the robot cleaner parts?
So I'll take that one. No, so Maestro doesn't care what your part looks like. how complicated it is. We don't have to train it. It is not part specific, but it does do a part specific inspection. So what I mean by that is that even if, maybe I should say, it performs a surface specific inspection. So even if you have the same part, the surfaces are never going to look exactly the same. And so Maestro is looking at that unique surface of that part and determining how to do the inspection from that. So it's very unique, it's very part specific. It's not something where you create a inspection path and you run it on the same path on all of your parts. It does a unique inspection for each part that you want to inspect.
Okay, thanks, Sarah. Time for a few more questions here. Does IRODI integrate PMI? How does it know what characteristics to evaluate to what tolerance? Or does it just report profile to nominal?
Great question, and that kind of relates back to the first two questions that we answered. And that is, we have to, it's still under development, we have to provide Maestro with that additional information, again, on what types of tolerances are being called for in the part and how those may vary across the part, because Maestro is not going to know that it is going to inspect a part. You might be able to say, give me a general profile tolerance, and it'll surface inspect and provide you that feedback. But what we're working towards is that Maestro will look at that part and be informed and know that these features have to fit within this tolerance window. These other features fit something else, and Maestro will constantly be utilizing that information in its intelligent inspection of the surface. So yes, there will be some data transfer that has to come from the design intent, from the CAD model, or the model-based engineering of the requirements of that part have to feed into Maestro in order to tell it how to inspect the part or where to inspect the part, to what confidence interval, and then from that, Maestro will know when it's pencils down, I've inspected the part sufficiently. So again, excellent insight and question. Thank you.
Thanks, Sean. So that'll conclude our technical questions. I just want to reiterate that Los Alamos National Laboratory is looking for a partnership around this technology. We'd love to encounter in our already existing company, perhaps, that can work with us to integrate IRODI Maestro into its platform. If we couldn't get to your questions, don't worry. We will follow up with you directly by email within next week. Should you have any further questions, please feel free to send them to us via email. I've already sent, I think I've sent that through the question and answer function here. Thank you once again for your participation in today's webinar. Your engagement and interest are greatly appreciated, and we look forward to welcoming you to the next session. Thanks so much, and bye-bye.